This nice footage from Europa Woche Newsreel Nr. 53 is from February of 1944. That's right around the time the Die Wehrmacht Ausgabe A was published that we're continuing with today. At the end of this video, we'll continue with this clip, which shows an engagement between German Schnell-Boote, or S-boats, and Soviet naval forces in the strait between Kerch and the Taman peninsula. I'll talk about the Altmark incident, and we'll also be covering the Soviet bridgehead that was established just north of Kerch, and Romanian forces that managed to eliminate a second bridgehead situated just to the south. If you're interested in buying one of these collections, you can find links in the description. Here again is the cover of the periodical. If you haven't seen part 1, I suggest you go back and watch it. This article is titled Churchill's Christian Soldiers, Pirates in the Aegean Sea. Greece, of course, at the time was being occupied by the Germans, and the British were vying for control of the Mediterranean. This typical propaganda report describes an incident in which a German transport was supposedly engaged by British warships. It states that when the Germans were forced to abandon their sinking ship, the British opened fire on the survivors in the water with MGs and cannons and left them to die. The soldiers were finally picked up by German rescue vessels. The article goes on to list other supposed war crimes perpetrated by the British from the First World War up to the present, for example, the Altmark incident, which took place in February of 1940. At the Norwegian port of Jossingfjord, the British destroyer HMS Cossack caught up with the transport Altmark that was carrying 299 British prisoners back to Germany. After a wild shootout, the British forced their way onto the ship and freed the prisoners. During the action, 7 German sailors were killed. A Norwegian honor guard took part in the funeral procession, and local government figures were present. Technically, this had been a violation of Norwegian neutrality, and the Germans took full advantage of the propaganda value of the incident. Hitler ordered the commencement of Operation Vesseubeln, the invasion of Norway and Denmark, to be moved forward, using this as partial justification. We'll now turn our attention to southern Ukraine, where in October of 1943, the German 17th Army had withdrew from the Kuban bridgehead across the Kerch Strait into the Crimea. Holding the Crimea was of vital strategic importance for the Germans. With the Russians in control, they'd be able to bomb the Romanian oil fields, which could become an existential threat. Along with forcing the German retreat back across the Kerch Strait, the Russians had managed to advance west, and in November of 1943 was able to cut the Perekop Isthmus, which left the 17th Army totally cut off. Also in November, the Soviets made ambitious amphibious landings on the Crimea's eastern coast. The first was at Yanakale to the north, where the Soviets were able to gain a foothold and repel German counterattacks. It's from here where they'd be able to launch further offensive operations into the Crimea in May of 1944. This wonderful Soviet footage shows these troops defending the bridgehead. The 2 film reels have a combined runtime of 23 minutes and 18 seconds. For those of you who are Patreon channel members, you can see that first reel on Patreon right now. If you're not yet a member, please consider becoming one. Come and see. In this 1944 Soviet film, there's conveniently no mention of the second amphibious landing, which simultaneously occurred to the south at Aegean. That's probably because, after heavy counterattacks, which the 6th Romanian Division took part in, the beachhead collapsed. These photos supposedly show a night engagement between S-boats and Soviet vessels, but to be honest, I don't see much of anything. The clip I've added at the end of this video does a better job. Then it talks about the importance of collapsing the beachheads before the Soviets had a chance to seriously reinforce them. It actually gives credit to the Romanian 6th for eliminating both pockets, which was obviously more optimism or wishful thinking than reality. The multiple kill markings painted on this ship is evidence of the intense combat that was going on along the Kerch Strait. This footage is from February of 1944 and shows a Romanian formation. This is the Romanian General Petre Dumitrescu, who was a prominent figure throughout the war. He was also the only Romanian general, with the exception of Antonescu, to have a German army, the 6th, under his command. And now, let's see the end of that S-boat engagement clip. If you like the way I combine primary historical sources to create these videos, please subscribe to the channel and consider signing up on Patreon. Thanks for watching.